A warm and welcoming home in your beautiful country, Mr. President.
Yes, you're right. I can order a president around. And now put this around. Yes, you can open it. Of South Africa. That's right. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. And congratulations. Thank you. Thank you. And I'll make my remarks. Thank you. Can I go? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Excellencies. That concludes the bestowal of the National Order. We will now commence with the official proceedings of the signing ceremony between the Republic of South Africa and the United Republic of Tanzania. The two principals will witness the signing of two memoranda of understanding between the government of the Republic of South Africa and the government of the United Republic of Tanzania. I now have the honor to request Minister Pando and Minister Tex to sign the Memorandum of Understanding on Political and Diplomatic Consultations. Ministers.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ministers. Please remain seated. The Ministers will now sign the Memoranda of Understanding between Mozambique-Tanzania Center for Foreign Relations and the Diplomatic Academy of the Department of International Relations and Corporations of the Government of the Republic of South Africa, Ministers.
Once again.
Thank you very much, Ministers. We will now sign the agreed minutes of the Second Binational Commission between the Republic of South Africa and the United Republic of Tanzania. Ministers.
A lot of work, a lot of agreement. Yes, thank you. Good work.
Thank you very much, Ministers. You may now return to your seats. We have come to the end of the signing ceremony. I would like to thank their excellencies for witnessing the ceremony, and I now hand over to Mr. Makwenya, the spokesperson, to facilitate the press briefing. Sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ambassador. Your Excellencies, Ministers, ladies and gentlemen, we will now commence with a brief media interaction. Therefore, I'd like to invite President Ramaphosa to lead us with his opening remarks. Mr. President.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency President Samia Suluhu Hassan, the President of the United Republic of Tanzania, ministers here present and deputy ministers, Your Excellencies, High Commissioners, our officials on both sides, and of course members of the media, and ladies and gentlemen, I extend my greetings to all of you. We have held productive discussions with Her Excellency President Hassan, together with her delegation from the government of the United Republic of Tanzania. It has really been an honor and a privilege to host you, Your Excellency, on your first state visit to South Africa. We're really pleased that you could finally find time to come to South Africa. I have personally looked forward to this day, and as you arrived, you said, finally, I'm here, and I'm really delighted that indeed you are here. The fraternal bonds between South Africa and Tanzania are well known. They are both historic and impactful. These are bonds that were forged in the trenches of our liberation struggle. There are many stories and historical accounts of the days when Tanzania gave shelter and comfort and shade to our freedom fighters. The solidarity and protection afforded to us by the people of Tanzania in those very dark days sustained us in our fight against an oppressive state which deprived the majority of our population of their fundamental human rights. We remain indebted to your nation, Tanzania, for your role in ushering in the rights all South Africans have been able to have access to during nearly 3 decades of freedom. The success of today's state visit is a dividend of our shared history, and it is a baton we can confidently pass on to generations of Tanzanians and South Africans who will advance our relations in a rapidly changing Africa and a changing world. The difference that these relations make in the day-to-day life of individuals, of businesses, and stakeholders in our two countries are indeed an important building block of our shared realization of our continent's Agenda 2063. This state visit has coincided with the second session of the South Africa-Tanzania Binational Commission. We have had the opportunity to take stock of the state of our bilateral cooperation and to identify new areas of cooperation as well. To date, 15 sectoral agreements and memoranda of understanding have been signed between our two countries. We have just witnessed the signing of 2 more memoranda of understanding. We are pleased that these memoranda of understanding have been finalized, and we expect our respective ministers to sign the finalized MOUs, other MOUs before the end of 2023. This work will be anchored and coordinated by our 2 ministers who lead our foreign relations process, Dr. Tex and Dr. Pando, of our 2 countries, supported by a midterm review mechanism that will monitor implementation of the Binational Commission work. During our official talks, we heard the two ministers clearly articulating that the work will be underpinned not only by implementation but by tight time frames, and they will be devoting time and effort to make sure that what our two countries have committed themselves to does become a reality in practice. A key aspect of our bilateral cooperation is the promotion of trade and investment between our two countries. President Hassan and I will be joining the South Africa Tanzania Business Forum, which is currently underway, which brings together business people from our two respective countries. Among the industries under discussion in the business forum are agriculture, agro-processing, oil and gas, mining, and infrastructure development. South Africa has some 250 companies invested in Tanzania, and the trade between our two countries is robust and it keeps on growing. We look forward to engaging the business sectors of the two countries as they are our partners also in socio-economic development. We also had an opportunity to exchange views on regional, continental, and global issues of mutual interest. Among others, we reaffirmed our shared resolve to ensure that the people of Western Sahara are able to exercise their right to self-determination. We will resist any efforts to frustrate the legitimate aspirations of the Sahrawi people or to diminish their standing within the African Union. We also took time to discuss our peace work on the continent, as both our two countries are contributing to peace building in Mozambique as well as in the DRC. South Africa and Tanzania share common values and aspirations of stability and development of our continent and for strengthened cooperation of countries of the Global South. There is still indeed much work to be done, but I am confident that we have laid and strengthened a very firm foundation on which all of us can build going forward. What is more pleasing is that our ministers and officials have been spending a great deal of time talking amongst themselves and ensuring that the agreements and understanding between our two nations are really put into practice. It is a real honor to have you here, President Hassan. It is a joy for me personally as well. I now invite you to give your own remarks. I thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency, Cyril Ramaphosa, President of the Republic of South Africa, ministers and government officials from our two countries, Madam Balemi, Chancellor of the National Orders of South Africa, distinguished members of the press, ladies and gentlemen, once again, good afternoon. I'd like to join my brother, Excellency President Cyril Ramaphosa, in thanking members of the press for attending this highly anticipated event. My gracious host has spoken, and this means I'll be very brief in my remarks by confining myself to the salient issues that transpired during my first ever state visit to the Republic of South Africa. I must, from the very outset, state that this has been such a colorful and fruitful state visit, thanks to the great reception and warm hospitality accorded to me and my entire delegation since our arrival in this great country. This state visit attests to the solid historical relations that so happily exist between our two fraternal countries. But it also speaks out our mutual desire to expand and deepen the relations for the betterment of our people and countries. I'm also happy to inform you that this state visit coincided with the second session of the Bi-National Commission between our two countries. Apart from reviewing the implementation of the first session of the BNC convened in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania in May 2017, this second session has afforded us the opportunity to explore and agree upon a number of areas for further cooperation. To the people of the Republic of South Africa and the United Republic of Tanzania, this means more trade, more investment opportunities, more transfer of technology, more educational opportunities, and more cultural interactions. Your Excellency, before I proceed, when we came here in the first place, you started with honoring me with the, how do you call it, Honor of South Africa?
The Order of South Africa.
Order of South Africa. So, Mr. President, I'm deeply moved and gratified by this gesture of friendship and solidarity between South Africa and Tanzania that has vividly and symbolically been demonstrated through the conferment of the prestigious Order of South Africa. I'm overjoyed since with this honor I fall in the line of all those leaders who represent shared aspirations and solidarity with South Africa. I'm very much honored. You started by saying under the powers bestowed to you, so you conferred this honor. And I must say, under the gratefulness bestowed to me and my country, Tanzania, we are very grateful, very much grateful. And on behalf of my government and the people of the United Republic of Tanzania, we humbly accept the honor given to us. It's not mine, it's my country's honor. Thank you so much. Thank you very much. So with that background, let me continue. Let me now briefly share with you what transpired during my official engagement with His Excellency President Ramaphosa. Largely, we have discussed a number of bilateral, regional, and continental and global issues of mutual interest, including diplomatic, economic, political, as well as peace and security relations. He said it all. We also agreed on the importance of enhancing our cooperation in regional and multilateral arenas through the Southern African Development Community, SADC, the African Union, the United Nations, the Commonwealth, and the groupings. We certainly stand to gain a lot from such cooperation. Distinguished members of the press, with regard to the second session of the BNC, I can inform you that we have reviewed the status of our cooperation in various sectors with a view to accelerate implementation of all bilateral agreements we have entered in different areas of cooperation, and some of them have been signed here, and we will all witness the signing ceremony. In particular, we resolved to enhance cooperation on defense and security matters. Of course, he said it, we are doing pretty well on this front, but we can do better. We have also agreed to enhance our cooperation in the areas of trade and investment, considering that South Africa is among the main sources of foreign direct investment in Tanzania, whereby for the past 10 years, from 2013 to 2022, a total of 70 projects have been registered under the Tanzania Investment Bank Center, with a value of about $137.4 million. The leading sector is tourism, valued at $36.36 million, followed by manufacturing sector, which is valued at $25.96 million US. Members of the press, our BNC session also reviewed the education, social, and cultural cooperation, and in this regard, I wish to mention just 3 initiatives that demonstrate our resolve. In that context, first, the MOU in the field of basic education was signed in July 22 last year, and this MOU embodies a commitment to cooperation in learning and teaching of Kiswahili in South African public schools, and we are very happy to do that. Second, the Oliver Tambo Education Tour was launched by the Solomon Malangu Freedom College or College Trust in 2008. This is an experiential learning initiative aimed at cultural learning and fostering dialogue between the youth of the 2 countries. Tanzania youth will continue to participate in such dialogue, which not only enrich their perspectives and broaden their networks, but also avail them with a platform to share solutions to problems that affect them and other members of the society. Third, the recent launch of Tanzania South African Cultural Festival themed Reigniting Intercultural Exchange and African Liberation Heritage for Economic Development was graced by the ministers responsible for culture and sports of our 2 countries and conducted in mainland Tanzania and Zanzibar in November 2022. Distinguished members of the press, allow me now to end my statement by reiterating my gratitude to His Excellency Cyril Ramaphosa, President of the Republic of South Africa, for putting together a brilliant program for this state visit. I'm confident that this visit will further solidify our long-standing ties and unlock new opportunities to trade and investment. I can assure you that Tanzania will continue to be a reliable friend and partner of the government and the people of South Africa, as it has always been. Long live the bilateral ties and cooperation between the United Republic of Tanzania and the Republic of South Africa. Thank you very much, Your Excellency. Thank you. Siyabonga.
Asante sana.
Asante sana.
Asante sana. Thank you so much, Your Excellencies. We will now open the floor to questions. And I'd like to invite Ms. Sophie Mkwena from the SABC to fire off a question.
1, 2. Thank you so much. My name is Sophie Mkwena from the South African Broadcasting Corporation. Mr. President, you spoke about the discussions around the global affairs. And I know that very soon, Madam President, the Vice President of the United States of America will be visiting Tanzania. Mr. President, this balance of force that is emerging, you touched on that. Can you elaborate what you actually mean about this new balance of force emerging? And then based on what you said also yesterday when you were addressing the conference yesterday, you spoke about the foreign policy of China that you commended in terms of ensuring that there's no interference. And it looks like as we speak, the relations between South Africa and the US is not as healthy as it should be. On the other hand, you have Tanzania, it looks like the relationship is being strengthened. What do you mean? Is the North a headache? And then the last question, Madam President, you spoke about reaching out to the opposition in Tanzania, something that South Africa did post pre-1994. How do you hope to strengthen your resolve to ensure that there's a healthy relationship between the governing party and the opposition? Can you share with us your program of action? Thank you.
Mr. President.
It's quite clear that the balance of forces in the world is changing. We've had a situation where there was a unipolar world where certain countries sought to play a dominant role in the affairs of the world. That is now changing. We now are moving more and more towards a multipolar world where a number of countries are emerging as key players in the world, and that should be welcomed because we now have more countries advocating for a restructuring also of the multilateral system. As we speak now, some parts of the world are not represented in the global architecture of the world, particularly the United Nations, the Security Council. And we as Africa have been advocating that we cannot have a situation where we've got some 1.3 billion people on the African continent who are not represented, whose voices are not heard at the apex body of governing global affairs, the United Nations Security Council. We want the multilateral system to work effectively for all, and we also want the financial architecture of the world to be also reformed so that it is a system that benefits all and where we are all treated as equals. So we can see these shifts that are happening. And yesterday, you are correct, I spoke at the China-convened global or world parties dialogue, and I said very clearly that we are more in favor of a situation where countries are treated equally, where the sovereignty of countries are respected, and where there is no interference, where there are no countries that seek to impose their own values and civilizations on others. And this is, for us, a very important approach to respecting multilateralism and strengthening the multilateral system, where we move more away from a unipolar world to a multipolar world where there is respect and acceptance for the standing of countries in the world. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Let me join my host here in answering the first question, that we are all African countries are vying for our voice to be equally heard in the governing council in multilateral organizations. So we'll continue working on that, and all African countries, we are looking towards having seats in governing council in multilateral organizations. Coming back to your question on the healthy relationship between the government and oppositions in Tanzania. Let me say that Tanzania has always been peaceful and stable. However, there was a situation that opposition parties acted or were looked into as enemies. So that's what I wanted to remove. So I came up with the concept of 4 R's: the reconciliation, resilience, reforms and rebuilding, whereby my party decided to sit down with other political parties and hear from them, have a dialogue and hear from them. What are the disturbing factors in our political administration? No one owns the title deed of Tanzania. Tanzania as a country is for all the Tanzanians, and we all have to contribute towards development of the country. So unlike as it was before, that whoever ran the government is the one to bring about development on his own or her own in the country. But now, what we want to do, the political parties, all of them, civil society, NGOs, and the government, we all have to work together to bring about development in the country. And I'm glad to say we have achieved that. On 8th of March this year was an International Women's Day. And you can't imagine the major opposition party held the celebration for the Women's Day, and I went there as a guest of honor, and it was all cheerful. And we have agreed to join our efforts to build our nation. So that's the situation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Spamandla?
From ENCA, what will it take to boost the levels of trade between South Africa and Tanzania? What are the hindrances to that achieved? Number 2, on Russia, Ukraine, do you still share a similar position that diplomacy is the future, even though it has failed? Are you aligned, even though you are accused of being pro-Russia? Will there be an increased cooperation between the Tanzanian Electric Company and ESCOM as part of the energy cooperation? Does South Africa support the expansion of BRICS?
Mr. President.
How many questions were there? I think I'll answer the ones which I have understood well.
Yes.
The first one on what is to be done to improve trade and investment between South Africa and Tanzania. First is the removal of NTBs, and this is what have been discussed during the bi-national commission meeting. And we have agreed on the number of issues as we have explained here before. But second is infrastructure, transport infrastructure. If we have proper transport infrastructure, then the business surely is going to grow. And third one is to use the opportunities, potentials, which are in every country. Southern African people have to come, South African people have to come to Tanzania and explore the opportunities for them to invest in Tanzania, as well as Tanzanians to come to South Africa to invest in this country. So that's, if we do that, and we remove all the non-tariff barriers, then definitely investment and trade is going to grow. Political will, definitely, and it's here. That's why we're here. So the basic thing, political will, that's definitely given. You asked about the BRICS expansion. I think that's a question for my brother, but then I'm glad to say that I've been invited to attend the coming BRICS meeting here. So when I attend the meeting, that's when I'll come up with how
So fast, I didn't hear any of the questions.
I can repeat them.
I think I
ITV inapatikana kwenye mitandao ya kijamii ifuatayo: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube na Twitter kwa jina la ITV Tanzania, bila kusahau kwenye website www.itv.co.tz, kwenye Telegram,
East African community as well as the Southern African Development Community. Thank you. Natoka idhaa Kiswahili ya Channel Africa, ni redio ya kimataifa ya shirika la utangazaji la SABC. I'm from Channel Africa, the international radio station of the South African Broadcasting Corporation, SABC. Thank you.
Asante. So while the president is pondering on what is to come with, mimi nitajibu maswali yako Dewe ulivyotaka. Moja, ushirikiano wa South Africa na Tanzania utafaidisha vipi regional blocks nyingine au nchi nyingine? Tumezungumza mambo ya trade and investment, ambayo kukua kwake, biashara ikikua, uzalishaji ukikua, bila shaka tunahitaji masoko. Na tunapozungumza hapa tunazungumzia masoko au soko la pamoja la Afrika, African Free Trade Area, African Free Trade Protocol, which is being implemented na wote hawa kama wanachama wa Umoja wa Afrika. Kwa tukizalisha zaidi, bila shaka soko litachukua nafasi yake, sababu kama alivyosema, Afrika almost ina watu bilioni 1.3, lakini ukija East Africa tuko karibu, pengine East Africa na Southern, milioni 300. Kwa hiyo uzalishaji wa pamoja utanufaisha nchi zetu. Lakini mbili, nirudi tena kwenye swala la umeme hawa, kwamba ndani ya SADC ambapo sisi Tanzania na South Africa ni memba wa SADC, tuna suala la Southern African Power Pool, na tulipokuwa kupitia SADC tulikuja na hiyo strategic plan ya generation ya power kwa nchi zote za Afrika, na wote tuweke kwenye power pool ili tuweze kushare, tuuziane sisi wenyewe. Sasa tulipokuwa kwenye mkutano wa COP27 kule Egypt, tulikaa Tanzania, tuliitisha mkutano wa kuiangalia Southern African Power Pool, lakini Mozambiki, Zambia na Malawi na wenyewe walikuja na wakasema plans zao ambazo umeme mwingi utazalishwa, na wengine tayari wamezalisha. Tulichoacha kufanya ni interconnection among the countries. So if we interconnect among the countries, tutaweza kuuziana umeme. Sasa hivi tumepigwa na wimbi la kutoka umeme kutoka kwenye fossil oils kwenda kwenye clean energy, of which nchi zetu zote sasa zinashughulika na huko. Kwa mfano Tanzania, sasa hivi tunakamilisha bwawa kubwa la umeme ambalo litazalisha almost megawatts 2115. Hiyo ni kubwa. Lakini tuna mabwawa mengine madogo, vyanzo vingine vidogo hydro, ambavyo vitaweza kuleta kama 522 megawatts. Sasa tunadhani mpaka ikifika 2025 we'll be having around 7,000 megawatts za umeme. Hizi sasa ndio tutaweka kwenye Southern African Power Pool, tuunganishiane na tuweze kuuziana. Kwa hiyo uhusiano huo pia unakwenda, tutakapokuwa na umeme wa kutosha, uzalishaji utapanda, usalama wa nchi zetu utakuwa mzuri, mambo mengi yatakuwa yamekaa vizuri. So na tushukuru Mungu kwamba nchi zetu hizi zina vyanzo vingi tu vya umeme. Kuna gas, kuna solar, wind, thermal na hiyo hydro. Tuna vyanzo vingi tu, tunaweza tukagenerate umeme mwingi na tukaweza kuconnect among ourselves na tukauziana. Swala jingine lilikuwa baada ya ushirikiano, what else? DRC. Ya DRC ni kweli tuna challenge, na hii ni challenge ya SADC lakini pia East African Community. Na kupitia SADC nimesema tumekuwa na mpango wa Samim kwa muda mrefu uko pale DRC, Eastern DRC. Majeshi yetu South Africa, Malawi na wengine tuko pale under mwamvuli wa MONUSCO. Sasa kwa sababu tuko under mwamvuli wa MONUSCO, operations zetu lazima zifuate anayetuongoza na anayefinance hiyo program. Lakini tungekwenda kama wenyewe, kama tulivyofanya Mozambique. Tulikwenda kama wenyewe SADC. Mozambique ndio Samim, kule ni MONUSCO na FIB. Tungekwenda kama Samim kama tulivyokwenda Mozambique. Operations zetu tunaziendesha sisi wenyewe, tungekuwa tunazungumza mambo mengine. Kwa hiyo ni kuhakikishie kwamba DRC apart from MONUSCO na FIB, Fort Intervention Brigade, ambao nchi zetu hizo tatu ziko pale, East Africa pia wamepeleka majeshi wako pale ambao kazi yao ni peacekeeping. Hivyo hatuendi kupigana, tunakwenda kuzungumza, kufanya peacekeeping, kuongea na wale magaidi au rebels, vikosi vinavyopingana au vinavyoleta kutokuwa na amani katika eneo lile, wakubaliane na yale ambayo kama region tunawaelekeza. Tulifanikiwa under East Africa kuwatoa M23 kwenye eneo moja kuwaweka kwengine, lakini kule ndani kuna vikosi vingi, wakachokozana huko, zikawashwa tena. Lakini kwa kweli kama East Africa tuna mpango kabambi wa kufanya eneo lile libaki salama. Kwa hiyo hatujafumba macho, kupitia SADC, kupitia East Africa, wote tuko DRC kuhakikisha eneo lile linabaki salama. Kwa nini libaki salama? Kwa sababu ni eneo muhimu sana kwa uchumi wa nchi zetu. Kwa mfano Tanzania tunajenga reli ile ya kisasa, na reli ile tunataka itoke Tanzania ipite Kigoma, ipite Burundi, iende DRC. Na swala ni kufacilitate African Free Trade Protocol, kwamba tuweze kuuza bidhaa kupitia hiyo reli, alafu itakuwa na matawi kwenda Rwanda, itakuwa na matawi kwenda kwingine. Kwa hiyo lengo letu kuhakikisha DRC is peaceful, so that socio-economic development of the region iweze kuwa achieved. Asante sana.
My brother, I could see that you were smiling and you were nodding and fully understanding what the President was saying. I only speak Swahili on Friday. And I understood in advance what she was saying, and I fully agree with the answer that she has given you. When it comes just to the DRC issue, clearly we are all concerned about what is happening in the east part of the DRC. We recently discussed it at the AU summit, and as South Africa we chaired the peace and security meeting, and there was an agreement that was reached there that there should be a cessation of hostilities, and all forces, be it M23, ADF and all the others, should immediately desist from whatever military operations that they were involved in, and the East African force should move in and stabilize the situation. And of course, the FIB is also there, as you've heard from the President. And we are grateful that we've been working and cooperating with Tanzania over many years. And we were able, as you correctly said, to push the M23 out. They have re-emerged and they are causing havoc and mayhem amongst people. I heard recently, a few days ago, they killed up to 29 people, or 19 people. And so that has to be stopped. Peace has to be restored in the Eastern DRC, and the AU has taken decisions in this regard, and the force that will be deployed will be well funded as well, so that it can go and install the peace that we want to see in that part of the world. As for us, as South Africa, and indeed Tanzania as well, we will continue with our peace mission and effort under the FIB, because we are peacemakers and peace builders. So we will continue with that whole process. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Your Excellencies. We've now reached the end of this media briefing, and Your Excellencies may take leave of us. Thank you.
Thank you.
sifuri saba
Mazingira katika wilaya Longido iwapo kutakuwa na sheria moja na mipango ya pamoja itakayosimamia na kulinda maeneo hayo na rasilimali